Guys, I think I just figured out how to play Rogue properly. My oh my, is that ever satisfying to watch. Let me tell you something, the Rogue, I get it now. It has absolutely become a blast to play. It's just been a heck of a journey getting to this point. So unlike many of the amazing build guide videos out there, I'm still leveling alongside the rest of you here. So I'm going to on screen show you step by step just what gear I'm using, what skills I'm using, the Paragon board, the malignant hearts. You can pause the video whenever you want to see exactly what I have going here. The thing you'll notice and should keep in mind is none of this is optimized gear. I don't have any really of the in-game stuff outside of the Barber that I got lucky that dropped, and we can talk about that. But most of my armor that I'm using is not even upgraded yet. And so as you're noticing all this stuff, there is a couple things to keep in mind here. This is definitely not a hardcore build. You will notice a lot of times in the footage, my health gets very low. I become kind of a potion spammer. So one thing I would actually suggest is to find gear that gives you plus more potions so that you're not stuck at the default of 9. I know my buddy Ryan, who I play with quite often, you'll see in some of the footage occasionally, has 13 potions for his druid. But it is also worth noting that most of the monsters and bosses that I'm fighting are anywhere between 6 to 12 levels higher than me. So as my rogue continues to get closer and closer to level 75, tier 4 is actually only going to get easier for me. So as far as farming goes, this build is incredible so far. For those who have not played Rogue, the way that this build really works right now, and the way it worked even before I had the Barber, I would use Shadow Imbuement on packs of enemies for my AoE damage, and Poison Imbuement on single target damage, so bosses, things like that, because that poison buildup really starts to stack. That's really the gist of the entire build. I have Shadow Step in here so that I can get out of being CC'd or controlled in case I get stuck in a corner against a whole bunch of mobs. You can get out very quickly. And the specialization that we use is combo points. And basically all you're trying to do is light up all 3 of the combo points so that you can unleash more damage at once. This is where the unique condemnation would come in handy. I don't have access to this, but when it finally does drop, it gives you a % chance to instantly get 3 combo points. Again, helping with your burst damage potential on this build. Again, I cannot reiterate enough, this is a build in progress. Please go back, pause the video at any point to kind of see what specializations or what individual passive skills I'm using. Right now, it's more of a feel thing for me than anything, and it really is playing very smoothly up to this point. Well, actually, it hasn't, and I think that's been the issue with where I was with Rogue for a while. I would argue the first levels 1 through 55, even maybe 60 or so, were kind of a grind. Especially because my complaints in a previous video, the way that Diablo 4 is set up, that initial beginning process of this game seems a bit lackluster compared to Diablo 3. It really isn't until you can start clearing tier 4 that the game really starts getting fun, and to me is when it's its most enjoyable. And so for those of you who are playing this game solo, just don't get too frustrated if you're not seeing the results as quickly as I'm seeing, because I did play with a friend for quite a few of these levels.
I just realized. I'll be able to play my character as long as I don't take an arrow to the knee.
And that is absolutely not to say that you can't do this by yourself, because you absolutely can, and you will get to the point where you're cruising through a lot of tier 4 just like I am right now. Because as with most builds in this game, you slowly plug in little pieces here and there. So if it doesn't come all together right away for you and you are infuriated by that, just take a deep breath, step back, you're going to get there. Alright, now let's talk about this bad boy right here. The Barber is the wrathful heart that best describes delayed gratification.
Daddy, chill.
And because of that, this isn't for everybody, so we're just gonna get this out there. If you're not somebody who wants to wait to see your damage burst, and you want instant deaths across the board, this probably isn't for you. Because the way that this works is when you go to attack an enemy, your damage is stored and built up, and it slowly releases over an explosion between 2 to 4 seconds after the initial sets of damage happen. That is the AoE explosion you're seeing from the intro and occasionally from some of the footage on screen. Now, the issue with this being, if you are somebody who is wanting to quick clear a lot of the higher end bosses and stuff, there is a bit of a delay with this, and so there are builds who are going to be able to kill solo bosses quicker down the road. But something I have noticed, and I can't guarantee this is happening, but it looks like it, if you do one-shot an enemy, the instant explosion and buildup of damage is released immediately, and there is not that 2 to 4 second window. And actually, speaking of which, so one of the things that was updated in the recent patch 1.1.1 was actually the rogue's inner sight specialization. The Barber didn't interact with that very well, and so now that was fixed. So for those of you who like using inner sight to get resource regeneration more often, this is not a problem that you have to deal with anymore. And so it actually opens up more builds and possibilities. Now again, as I said earlier, I use combo points, so I never really had to use that, but I might give it a shot to see if it helps. Now, the most important stat that you need in order to make this build work is critical hit chance, because the Barber does not start ticking until you critical strike. And then once you critical strike, all subsequent damage, as stated in the text here, will apply to that burst of damage within that 2 to 4 second window. So please be looking for critical strike chance on your gear. That will absolutely make or break whether or not the Barber is going to be something you should be using. And again, as it states in the text that I posted on screen a moment ago, tier 3 is when this starts dropping, and that's actually when I got it. It will be a weaker version of it, but it 100% will work to get you through a good chunk of tier 4 early on, because that's what I'm still using. I haven't had a tier 4 version drop yet. So basically, that is my build in a nutshell. So as I continue to keep leveling, I hope to maybe have an end game build ready for you guys in the coming weeks. But as always, let me know in the comments down below what you're enjoying this season, if you're even playing it at all, or are you still on the internal realm leveling up one of your characters over there. Let me know your thoughts, let me know what you like, don't like, and we will see you in the next one.